The circle of life. The circle of life. Life is like spinning cycle. You go and you come. You start in one place and may end in the same place after many years. At least this is the way it has been for me. Just like going in circles. But you look back in the journey, you look and you start thinking, life is so short. Yes. Life is short. And after all, at least this is in my case, I have been around in circles. In circles. I downloaded 2 videos a little while ago, and I named it Titanic, The Journey. I started in Danville, Illinois. So this one tape here is like a pre-beginning of what happened since 1985. I start talking about a young man by the name Johnny Sliva. And I will waste time repeating everything I already said there. But I want in this one tape, which is the first one, to reveal some memories, some times I had with Johnny Sliva. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't have a picture of him. That was back in 1985, 1986, when I came to America. So I know Carmen Lisiardello since back then. Can you believe that? How many years? I knew him in concert, of course. Never dated Carmen Lisiardello. I was in the same church. But that was where I first met him. It was in Danville, Illinois. My boyfriend back then was Johnny Sliva. I just want to mention, because when I look at the movie, I see all the events, that experiences I live with John Sliva. They are exposed in the movie Titanic. But then I still dig into the names and what the director of the movie want to reveal in these names, and the whole thing, I mean, it's not easy to understand, because Jack is the name, and it's Johnny Sliva, which I never thought it was him. I don't know. And then the name Sliva. So there's something there, I don't know, that only the director and the people of the movie Titanic can tell me. It's secret stuff. Okay. One of the scenes that caught my attention was when DiCaprio, or Jack, tells Rose to stand up in front of the ship, in the boat, in front of the ship. And he tells her to open her arms wide. And he stands in the back of her, and then she says, "I am flying. I am flying." So that caught my attention, because I had the same experience back in, I can remember, it was between the years 1986 to 1989, somewhere around there. I cannot even remember. But Johnny Sliva used to take me in his boat into a lake river. It was so big lake. And people used to go there to catch bass fish. So he had this boat, and he will take me in his, we will drive there with the boat, and then he'll download the boat into the big lake. And we will go into the boat and start fishing. So we did that several times. We will bring a lot of fish home, only bass fish. And he will clean it up and fry it with cornmeal. So we will just sit on the table and just eat bass until you would not believe it, because there were so many bass we were picked up there. Back then it was so much of those fishes back in that lake. So we'll sit on the table and just eat that, nothing else. That with a drink, you know. So he really made me happy, you know. Even though I was a girl that I was all the time thinking about, you know, things that I need to take care of daily, job situations, money, you know, I was always worried about. But he will take me out of that stuff and just take me out to enjoy life, to enjoy nature. And that's something I love it about John Sliva. He had a picture when he was young. He was so different from his looks when I met him. In his picture when he's young, I'm going to see if I can show a picture similar to that. But it is type like DiCaprio. I mean, he was beautiful. He was beautiful when young. So anyway, I remember he said, I want you to, one of those days that we were fishing, we were on the boat in the middle of the lake. He said, I want to ask you to stand up here in the very front corner of the boat. You know, the boat is like this, sharp, you know. And I said, no, I'm scared. He said, no, do you trust me? And when he told me that, then I started walking toward the front of the boat. It was a big boat. And he said, I want you to stand up. I'm going to hold you. So I stood up on the very front of the boat, like in the movie Titanic. I mean, this happened in the 1980s, you know, I mean, way before the movie was made. So I stood up in the front of the boat, and he was in the back of me, holding me, and he opened my arms wide, just like in the movie Titanic. And he said, don't look down, don't think that you're in a boat, nothing, you're safe. Oh, he told me, do you trust me, you know? So he held me, and I did trust him. It was a little sticky to try to do that, but I mean, it's scary. But once I stood up in there, I saw there was no problem. The boat was so steady, and it was kept going. I mean, the boat was going because it had a motor in the back going, you know. And I remember I said that. I say, oh, my God, it feels like I'm flying, something like that, or I am flying. I can remember exactly what I said. I am flying, because that's how it felt like. You felt like you were not standing on the boat. It felt like you were standing like you were above the waters in the air, just flying like a bird. That's the way it felt. So he wanted me to experience that. And then another experience that is in the movie Titanic is this movie like Spit Like a Man. He took me out. That was also in the 1980s. He stopped the van and he told me how he was going to show me to spit like a man. So if I spit something, it would not fall back into his van while he was driving. And you know what I mean by the air, you know. So that's another thing. He said, you have to do it like this. And he told me how to spit it out so it will go really far, you know. And that stuff is also in the movie Titanic, but this was in the 1980s. Another experience I had with John Sliva. She was in the movie